All right, could I please have a call to order?
Absolutely. Nicole Davenport.
Here.
Amanda Perkins.
Here.
Cecilia Peterson.
Here.
Christine Strivak.
Here.
And Kathy Worthen.
Here.
Would you please stand for the pledge? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us all make the best decisions for the school city of Whiting this evening. Okay, audience comments, agenda items only. We have no audience, so we're going to move on. Approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes of March 19th, 2020?
I'll second.
Questions, comments, or concerns? Those in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve the special school board meeting minutes of April 2nd, 2020?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve the claims for the month of April in the amount of $2,093,525.80?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
School City of Whiting non-resident lottery, grades 6 and 9 for enrollment during the 2020-2021 school year. The lottery will be broadcast via YouTube and may be found at the YouTube link.
Just before we start, just to let everyone know that we did accept all of our kindergarten and first grade non-resident students that applied, as the number of applications did not exceed the number of available spots. And we do still have 5 spots available for first grade. For sixth grade, before we start, we advertised 4 available spots for new non-resident students, but we have 9 applicants, so we will be choosing 4 students, and then 5 students will be placed on a waiting list. For ninth grade, we advertised 20 spots for new non-residents, but we had 30 applicants. So we will be choosing those 20 applicants tonight, and then 10 students will go on a waiting list. Okay, we're gonna start with sixth grade.
N38.
N38 is Dulce Alvarez, first spot in sixth grade.
G53.
G53 is Leilani Muniz, second spot in sixth grade.
I29.
I29 is Lisa Morales, third spot, sixth grade.
I22.
I22 is Mateo Regalado, fourth spot, sixth grade. That's all the spots, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Now we will go to the waiting list.
B4.
B4 is Nathan Garcia, first student on the waiting list for sixth grade. That's okay, I'll just use that.
O62.
O62 is Bianca Lomelli, second spot on the waiting list.
B2.
B2 is Angelica Soria, third spot on the sixth grade waiting list.
O69.
O69 is Nicolo Petrick, fourth spot on the waiting list.
N45.
N45 is Lillian Kowalski, fifth spot on the sixth grade waiting list. That completes the sixth grade lottery.
There's a lot. O63.
063 is Marlon Perez, first spot, 9th grade.
O70.
070 is Aliyah Blanco, second spot, 9th grade.
O71.
071, Yareli Fernando Escobedo, third spot, 9th grade.
I-27.
The I-27 is Victoria Garcia, fourth spot, 9th grade.
I-30.
I-30, Timothy Cowan, fifth spot, 9th grade.
B14.
B14 is Taylor Pierre, correct, yes, sixth spot, 9th grade.
N34.
And 34, Orlando Rivera, seventh spot, 9th grade.
N42.
And 42 is Ricardo Martinez, spot, 9th grade.
N35.
And 35 is Daria Jokes Dent, 9th spot, 9th grade.
O64.
064 is Benjamin Cruz, 10th spot, 9th grade.
N43.
And 43 is Caleb Bedoy, 11th spot, 9th grade.
B12.
B12, Daniel Martinez, 12th spot, 9th grade.
I-21.
I-21, Alberto Moreno, 13th spot, 9th grade.
I-16.
I-16 is Julian Gonzalez, 14th spot, 9th grade.
G54.
G54 is Stephen Padilla, 15th spot, 9th grade.
G48.
48 is Juan Romero, 16th spot, 9th grade.
B8.
B8 is Alec Fuentes, 17th spot, 9th grade.
G49.
G49 is Alexander Bannister, 18th spot, 9th grade.
O61.
061, Jocelyn Cruz, 19th spot, 9th grade. This will be the last student.
B15.
B15, Brandon Stokovich is the 20th student accepted into 9th grade. Okay, the remaining students will be waiting list students.
N37.
And 37 is Brandon Franciski, first student on the waiting list.
O72.
072, Geraldine Valdez, second on the waiting list.
N33.
And 33, Lionel Bustamante, third student on the waiting list.
I-28.
I-28, Luisa Cardenas Juarez, fourth student on the waiting list.
I-17.
I-17, Maria Cruz Santana, number 5 on the waiting list.
068.
068.
Or O68, I'm sorry.
068, Alex Herrera. That is our 6th student on the waiting list.
N39.
And 39 is Marlene Castellanos, 7th student on the waiting list.
B5.
B5, Louis Alba is our 8th student on the waiting list.
B36, or N36, I'm sorry.
N36, Brianna Lomelli, our 9th student on the waiting list. And then that leaves Kayla King as our 10th student on the waiting list.
N44.
Yes?
Yes.
So that concludes the lottery for this school year. All of the students that were selected will receive a letter notifying them in the coming days by the end of the week, before the end of the week, and then the students that are on the waiting list will also receive that information before the end of the week.
Thank you. All right. Superintendent's report.
I have a few things to discuss, really some updates with what's been going on with our mandatory school closure for COVID. First, our meal service is going very well. I'm very thankful to our food service staff. It's been a lot of work, but it's been very successful for us. To date, we have distributed 39,900 meals so far to our families since March 16th. We haven't received any additional information yet on the summer free lunch program, but if it cannot be offered on site like we normally do it, then we will continue with the grab and go meal service, providing 5 lunches per week to each student under the age of 18. Okay. We began, because we're getting close to starting the project and we can start our project early, the last call that I had with Noresco, we began talking about the buildings quickly becoming construction zones. So we decided to go ahead and start the closure of our classrooms. We began the process last week. We had teachers signing up to come in to shut down their classrooms, take everything down, because once the construction starts, it's going to be very difficult to let them in the buildings. Plus, I don't want their things that are still sitting out in their classrooms when they're taking down ceiling tiles to be damaged. So we started last week. We're continuing this week. So we're hoping by the beginning of next week, all of the classrooms will be shut down and closed for the year with the checkout. We also had our operations staff in today to work on the student lockers. We originally had thought we would leave the student belongings until the end of the school year, but we do need to get a handle on where we are with textbooks and do a textbook inventory. And also with the way things have been going and everything is so unpredictable as far as our stay at home. Once we have the construction going, we definitely don't want students and parents into the building. It won't be a safe area for them. So what we did today is we had our operations staff come in, they opened every locker, anything that's a student belonging, they placed in a bag, labeled it with the student's name, and it was placed back inside the locker. So when the time comes at the end of the year, we will be able to get those bags to an area and then have parents pick them up somehow. We'll have that plan probably when they bring back the textbooks that they have home with them at the end of the school year. But we were able to get any kind of school materials, school calculators, school textbooks out of all the lockers today, so that we can retrieve them and at least have those to put into our inventory so we can see where we're at. So we'll plan on distributing those belongings back to the students at the end of May when we set up the process for textbooks and our device returns. Graduation planning, I sent out a message today about that. Mr. Chance also included that in his message and posted that, and I included his letter on the board agenda for you to see. Yard signs with the students' names and pictures have been purchased, and that's courtesy of the senior class and Whiting PTO. Those are going to be delivered by the high school staff to the students' homes. Banners with the students' names and pictures are being purchased because of the gracious donation by Mayor Stahura in the city of Whiting, and that donation is on the agenda.
Some of those seniors already have the yard sign in their front lawn.
Well, I think some parents bought their own, but ours are specific to the school.
Got it. They're different?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's a different design. So the banners that are purchased with the mayor's grant will be displayed on the post along 119th Street, assuming the city will put that up when maybe the construction is done. I'm not sure, but since they have an early start, I think they're going to be done earlier than they originally thought as well. Our Whiting High School's staff members are creating a senior video right now. They're working on that. That's going to acknowledge all of the scholarship recipients. We're going to have the valedictorian come in to do their speech, and it'll be recorded, the salutatorian also to come in and do their speech, and also recognize all the senior awards and distinctions on that video. We're working with Jostens, who is our graduation vendor, for the development of a virtual graduation ceremony. Our plan is to also upload our student pictures to that. The video that our staff is also creating, it'll be professionally done by Jostens, and we can stream it on the actual day of graduation. So we do want to provide that virtual graduation for that day. We do want to do our very best to try to provide a more traditional graduation ceremony if we can, sometimes during the summer. Maybe if allowed outdoors. We've talked about some of those things. Obviously our memorial gym will be part of the construction, so that won't be possible. But all of that is really just going to hinge on the guidance that we receive from the governor and the CDC. But we're not ruling out that we can't do that if it becomes available and we are able to do something more modified and in person in July. We'll do that. We have a committee at the high school principal, senior class sponsor, of course, the counselors, Mr. Bobby, Ms. Alvarez, they're all working together to come up with plans for everything that we're doing. So they're putting a lot of time into that. Teacher evaluations. The last executive order by Governor Holcomb provided us with guidance on how to complete the teacher evaluations for this school year. And they did pretty much encourage us to go according to what our board approved and our IDOE approved corporation evaluation plan as much to the greatest extent possible that we can. They did give us two options though. One option is a hold harmless option where current teachers who were employed with us last year, we could, similar to what we do with accountability grades, we could just give them the same evaluation rating that they had last school year. The other option is option one, which is what you would have to use for newer staff members. So if someone wasn't employed with us last year, they would have to complete the evaluation process. So when I met with the administration, we talked about that. One of the things that we discussed is we really want the teacher feedback to be as accurate as possible. And given that we had different administrators that completed last year's evaluations, we thought it was more important for them to have really the meaningful feedback from their current administrators that they had. So we looked through the data. Our data is very consistent with what last year's was. So that's not an issue. And in order to handle everyone fairly, we did hold, I held a Zoom meeting, a discussion meeting with the union last week on Thursday. So we went through the two options, and what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be using option one. So all of the current data from this school year will be used to complete the teacher evaluations, not last year's data. Because the other way of doing it, if we use the hold harmless, that would only apply to certain teachers, and we'd have to do partial option two and partial option one. And then again, you're not getting the current administrator's feedback. The other part of the executive order is it did say that we cannot include any objective measures of the student achievement or growth. Of course, we're not having iLearn this year, so there won't be any school accountability grades. We also won't have IGM scores. The teachers are not here to do NWEA and complete their SLOs. So normally those portions of the evaluation are worth about 30%. Without those, what we're going to do is a teacher evaluation rubric, which is just really based on what the principals observed during the year with the teachers, and will be now weighted at 100%. Okay. So they have finished everything up. The principals will be sending out the individual emails to each teacher and letting them know where they're currently at. It is if the teacher's okay with that, agrees with that, then that evaluation can be finalized. But if they want to have another evaluation over, say, how they're doing with e-learning, we can do that, but it will be by teacher request. Because part of the governor's order said that all the observations should be prior to when e-learning started. However, then they changed it. Instead of the teachers want, that is an extra evaluation or observation, we can do that.
Have we gotten all our observations in before all this happened?
Not the exact number, but close to it. And the union has agreed with going with option one and with what we currently have.
So the teachers who didn't have a chance to have their observation done,
No, they all had them, but
They-
say that if the corporation plans that they should have 3, maybe they've had 2.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
But they all
Check
have been
data
observed,
to go.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, we do
Alright.
have data. And most of the new teachers had close to the 5 that they're supposed to have.
Good.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's another thing that's been settled. Summer school update, as of last week, they're telling us at the state to still plan for an online format. Unfortunately, we do have to do online for Whiting High School for credit recovery because we do have students that will need those credit recovery courses. However, we really feel strongly that that is not an effective format for K through 8. Our participation rates at middle school is kind of difficult. And for little ones, it's very difficult. So if the state stays with only online and e-learning, we'll only be doing summer school this year for the high school. However, if things lighten up a little bit in the summer and we can do it in person, what we will do is for Nathan Hale and for middle school, we'll do kind of a jumpstart program at the other end of summer. So when they can actually be here present. Okay. The other thing that has been discussed with superintendents over the last week or so is that most of us have been looking at this as short-term planning. How do we get to June? What happens after June? And that's back when it first started in March. And obviously, we're facing a lot of uncertainty for what the future is going to bring for us and what fall will look like. So they have now told us as superintendents that you need to start long-term strategic planning because fall is not going to be fall as we know it. It is going to be very different. It is not anticipated that social distancing recommendations are going to be changed anytime in the near future. The outlook for a vaccine is not very strong. They're talking maybe even up to a year from now. So since they have been going pretty much like week by week, and our governor has been extending the stay at home like 2 weeks at a time, 2 weeks at a time. Now I know Illinois just went all the way to June 1st. Governor Holcomb is supposed to give an update of our stay at home order this Friday. To see what that's gonna look like, but what he's done in the past has been just 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. So what they have told us is you don't wanna wait until July and find out that you're not starting school in the traditional way. So we have kind of hit the ground running with an administrator meeting and we're kind of talking about that. I've set up online registration for new students with RDS last week and I did train the secretaries in that process today because for new students, we had the first week of June slated for when parents could come into the buildings and get enrollment packets and do all that. So we're going to take that online. Most of our registration this summer might end up being online. Our registration that we normally do in August or beginning of August and July right after Pierogi Fest where we have so many people in the cafeteria, I don't envision that that's going to be able to take place that way. I don't think there's going to be open houses. Some of the things that they're talking to us about is smaller class sizes for social distancing, doing planning. For example, if you have 30 kids in a classroom or 25 kids that in a third grade classroom, half of the class comes half day in the morning. That's group A. Group B comes half day in the afternoon, like 2 half-day kindergarten programs for elementary. They're also talking about staggering days, using a blended approach where kids maybe are here on Monday and then Tuesday is e-learning. And they're also talking about a lot of e-learning for high school. Because with high school, it's going to be very difficult with kids switching classes to break those into smaller class size. And the one thing that you can't do, it's very difficult for social distancing for high school and middle school kids. And every time the bell rings and those classes change, suddenly you have 400 kids in the hallway. Yeah. They're also talking about transportation, social distancing on buses. So I did talk with Sandy Espinoza last week to start looking at our bus runs and what that would look like if we only have 1 kid per seat and we have to space every other seat, how many additional runs we would need, how the bus routes would change if we went to a half-day format. Cafeteria, they are saying plan differently for your cafeteria. Kids may have to eat in classrooms. If we did the half-day approach for elementary, we were thinking kids could have breakfast in the morning. Come their half-day, they could take a grab-and-go lunch. The kids that come in the afternoon could eat lunch in the classroom, have their instruction, then they could take a grab-and-go for the free breakfast in the morning, something like that. So those are kind of the things that we're talking about. They said we should stock up on personal protective equipment for schools, hand sanitizing stations, place those throughout the schools. Thermometers. We did already place an order for thermometers if we have to start taking employees' temperatures when they report, if we have to have them for students. They may limit the number of adults that can be in the building. We looked into personal protective equipment, but right now, all the priorities, of course, is on medical facilities, and Amy could not even place an order for anything. They won't even allow you to. So that's also going to determine how things are going to look in the fall, the availability of those sorts of things. Of course, we have our continuous learning plan that I did, that was submitted, it was approved, and I included that on the agenda. So if in the fall there's a spike again, even if we start traditionally, then we'll go back onto that continuous learning plan and follow what we're currently doing now. There's a lot of funding concerns. I know at the DOE they've had a lot of feedback from parents saying if school doesn't resume in the traditional manner, their kids aren't coming back to school until it does resume and they'll homeschool. So when we think about that, the ADM is a big concern right now for superintendents. If we had 200 less students register, or parents willing to come back, if we were either looking at starting with an online format e-learning again, or only half days, things like that. So that's going to be a struggle. Superintendents are starting some discussion, and at the state level, I don't know how far it will get, of would the state possibly freeze our ADM and guarantee us what we had this spring for our second February count. Would they guarantee that to us in the fall, even if we had 200 less students due to this?
Just to be able to run the school city.
Well, yeah, just to be able to run the school city, and also for budgeting purposes. As we're building the budget over the summer, we'll have no idea how many parents are going to bring their kids back or how many will have registered. There's also, you might have mobility, a higher mobility due to job loss, higher homeless rate or doubling up, increase in free and reduce. Also, as far as our tax driven or tax supported accounts, what's going to happen with property taxes? What kind of tax draws are we going to get that's going to support the operations end of our budget as well? So those are some of the concerns that we're moving on to. We're no longer thinking, let's just get till June, because we're pretty much working through all of that initial list that we had and getting things solved. Now we're going to move into, let's talk about the fall and what that's going to look like.
The other idea I heard in terms of scheduling was there would be like a group A who would come Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 week. And then the next week they would come just Tuesday, Thursday. They'd be there all day. And then group B would just flip-flop the scheduling. So they were there all day, but.
Yeah, because we did talk about that too, because that would work better for middle school or high school, but then I'm just wondering how you fulfill the 180 days of instruction. If you had kids here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, would they have to do e-learning on Tuesday, Thursday, and then Tuesday, Thursday would have to do e-learning Monday, Wednesday, Friday? But then how do you ask your teachers to be here physically teaching all day long, a whole group of kids, and managing e-learning at the same time? That's a lot. So there's a lot of concerns out there. This is not something that's going to be short term, obviously, if you can see that.
If you think of it this way, if you plan for remote learning and then it ends up you go back into in person, it's a little easier. It's a lot easier than going from, we're going to go back in person, all of a sudden we have to plan for remote learning. Does that make sense? Not that it's easy, I think it's going to be easier. How is scheduling going for the 8th graders going up in the high school?
What they did is Ms. Jerome set up a Google Classroom for each of the grade levels, and the kids were able to go into that Google Classroom and pick their classes for next year. And of course, she has to approve those. They have to look through that. And we're building the master schedule, but depending on class sizes and what they allow us to do, that all could change. So we're going to stay on that path with scheduling for middle school and for high school with the anticipation that it'll be a physical start to the school year, which is what we're hoping for, physical start in August. And then even if things spike again in the fall or winter and we have to go back to where we're currently at, because it'll be really hard to do e-learning with students you've never laid your eyes on, met, talked with, and know their needs. That's another difficulty too. So lots and lots to think about. For our GeoBond project, we are planning on having our kickoff meeting next Monday with Continental and with Noresco. At that meeting, we will be talking about the timeline for our projects, where everything is going to start, the timing, how they're going to move through the buildings, what floor they're going to start on first, what the first steps are, the materials that will be ordered, all of that. So that will get us then, that's the beginning of May, that'll have us starting a full month early. So we're planning on that Monday.
It's good. There's only good thing coming out of this.
Okay, and that's it.
Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, have you heard anything from School City of Hammond with all that's going on? Are they expediting any of their closings or anything because of school
Not that I've
closures
heard
that
of.
they?
Have you heard anything,
In
Amanda?
terms of like the buildings.
Well, because next year was supposed to be Clark last year, right? 1920?
No, there's been no mention of
21.
accelerating.
Yeah, I don't-
Whether or not if there's,
Good
if they
question.
would just expedite that and,
I think for the high school, they have to wait till the new building's done, and I don't think that's gonna be done.
Yeah.
well,
until
if
the
nobody's in
next
school though, was my
Oh.
question, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not
So I
sure.
just was
I
curious.
haven't heard anything
no,
like
I
that.
haven't heard anything.
Any other questions? Thank you. A lot going on here. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Director of Finance, report from Kim.
Kim had attached that because of the interest of social distancing. I had to do a written report again, so it's attached there for your review.
Any questions? Okay. Let's move on to new business. The Whiting Library Board oath of office. Approval to reappoint Ms. Mary Lou Cowley as a Whiting Public Library Board member effective May 1st, 2020 through April 30th, 2024.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Approval to ratify the contract with Continental Electric for replacement of the fire suppression system.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval to ratify the contract with Noresco for energy savings project.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Approval to change the May regular board meeting from Monday, May 25th, 2020 to Wednesday, May 20th, 2020 at 5:30 PM.
Let's see.
Excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry, let me go back. I apologize. Let me go back to number 4. Approval to ratify the contract with Noresco Energy Savings Project.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Was that the one that was?
That was, wait, time out. Kathy, you already, prior to that, Kathy and Chris already approved it. We're on number 3.
There's two though. That's the
Project
project
management.
management. And then there's a separate contract.
Right.
Right.
So who, I'm sorry.
Chris just approved this and Cecilia's
Okay,
made a
thank
second.
For number 4.
Okay.
Okay, we're good with number 4? Yes. Approval to change the May regular board meeting from Monday, May 25th, 2020 to Wednesday, May 20th, 2020 at 5:30 PM. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
A second.
Okay, questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Retroactive collective approval to apply for spring 2020 Common School Technology Loan.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Approval to accept a $5,000 grant for senior banners from the city of Whiting.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second
Questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Let us move to approval to accept the resignation of a Whiting Middle School, Whiting High School paraprofessional effective the end of the 2019-2020 school year.
This is for Bradley Williams.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, audience comments. Unfortunately, we have no audience tonight. Board members, Amanda, do you have anything?
No, nothing.
Christine?
No, not really. Just hope that we can get back to some semblance of real class time with real kids.
Just hope everybody stays healthy.
I do too. It's good to hear that the school city is putting so much effort into the ideas for graduation for the seniors, so I was really pleased to hear that.
Yeah, that and the long-term goal, just in case they don't get back. I'm glad that we're being proactive and really jumping ahead of the game. A lot of work, thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I will make that motion.
I will second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.